dealing with now. And I touched on it. It's shaking my confidence a little bit, so I got to figure that out. But I'm confident that I will, because I got a community and I got people that are looking out for me. So there's no mystery that I'll figure it out. It'll come in due time.
And I know I can speak for myself and the majority of the people who are on that call. We're always here to help. All right. Good evening, Craig. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it. You and I have known each other for quite some time. You and I have had a lot of conversations back and forth, and we've spent a lot of time together in the live call. So, again, thank you for your time this evening to answer a few questions for me.
Pleasure's mine.
All right. So, first question is, where did you begin your background in trading and understanding the stock market?
Yeah, so I would say, taking it way back, I mean, I haven't been in the game for this long, but my first exposure would probably be in school, man. When they set up your paper trading accounts and you get that first glimpse at what it is, and you may not have an understanding, but generally, things move up, things move down. You want to be part of the boat that goes up, and that's probably my very first exposure to it. I think from then, I've always kind of had an interest in it, but I've never really delved too deep into it. Simply for the fact that I didn't think it was for me. I didn't know it was for everybody. Thought it was for people that actually kind of grew up with a father or with an uncle that taught them, and that's who kind of gets to reap the benefits. I didn't know it was for everybody, but just trying to take things into my own control and learn more. I would say the last couple of years, I've really been trying to apply myself and learn and get better. But first exposure was when I was a little kid, and when I first got my job. My real job post-graduating college, I realized how important it is to save and preserve your capital and grow it. So it's a great vessel for that, so you better learn it.
That's a great way to start off the questions. Thank you for that. So what steps did you take to further that understanding? Did you join any groups? Did you have a mentor?
Yeah, so definitely no mentors. That's one of the biggest things I think that is discouraging for a person like me is like, who do I go to? Like, I don't know a single person. No one in my family is a doctor, a lawyer, a trader, or anything. So who do I go to? Who do I talk to? And I was very eager to just find a sense of belonging in a group that I could kind of ask questions about, feel comfortable in doing so, et cetera, et cetera. There were some, of course, social media stuff that, free webinar, free this, free that. And what they do is they get your time. They lead you to a cliffhanger where they're going to reveal something, and then they ask you to pay up. And a guy like myself, I'm not going for it, so I got to find someone more down to earth. I got to find a group that's real. So I would say, in the last couple of years, I've sat in on a few of these little webinars, and they've wasted time. And I finally found Discord server that Clayton was previously in, and I followed him. I followed him in his journey over to Centurion, and that's where I've been since.
Appreciate that. So, speaking of that, how long have you known me, and how long have we been speaking?
I'd say somewhere between a year and a half. We've probably been chatting back and forth, like Clayton says, and kind of when he kicks off his live calls, you can be a fly on the wall, or you can participate, treat it as a podcast or a live call, whatever you prefer. And I've always kind of sat back and listened. I do have a full-time job, so I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. As to not kind of interfere with my work, I just kind of put my headphones in, listen in, see how much I can absorb. I ask a question, poke my head in when I can. Clayton's always willing to help and to break it down for me, but I mostly do listening and live calls, and that works for me. So,
well, I know that we do have two types, right? We've got folks who want to speak every 2 seconds, and then we have folks who will speak whenever they decide that it's the time to speak, right? And every time there are folks that I know that will say things just to say them, and then folks like you, for example, where you won't speak for 5 days, but on the 6th day you'll have one question, and as soon as I see it, I'm ready to go, right? Because there's a lot of folks that will talk to me every single day that will spitball, talk shit, whatever. and that's part of a community, right? But the guys that I know that are working very hard, that hey Clayton, I need 2 seconds. I need 2 seconds because here's a question that just popped up from something you said. I really do appreciate that, and with you specifically, the questions are direct. You've already thought out what it is that you want to ask, and thankfully, and I'm very happy that this is the case. You know that you're going to get an answer from me as soon as I see it. So
Yeah, 100%, and that's what I really, I know there's different personalities, but I really do try to kind of value your time because you do have to cater to so many. So, I would kind of suggest and urge anyone to come concise, come with a real question. Let's not try to waste any air or breath here, and you're going to get a real answer. So that's kind of how I follow it. I don't just ask them to ask them. I want something. I know you'll give it to me. That's when I'll ask it. So, but I love hearing everybody's personality. Don't get me wrong. Someone's got to talk and someone's got to carry it. So, not being critical here.
No, understood. And we've got every personality that probably exists under the psychological umbrella, and it's a lot of fun in there. Truthfully, you get a little wild at times, right? It's a bunch of I'll refer to them as distinguished gentlemen. But
yes, they are.
We get a little rowdy sometimes, but no, I appreciate that perspective. So, what has been your perspective or experience from the Discord and live calls with myself for the year and almost year and a half that you've been with me?
Yeah, I mean, I can't recap everything I've learned, but what I can say is, just like I wake up, I have my cup of coffee. That gets me going. I wake up, I jump in this live call. That's what gets me going. That's what keeps me up to date. It's kind of like, I would say, the modern version of reading. Honestly, because we're always evolving. We're trying to learn, but we're learning at a fast pace. So what I do is I just kind of surround myself with folks who are trying to learn the same thing and actually know what they're talking about. And even if sometimes we're off, we're always working to learn. Everybody's kind of pretty honest with themselves, and we care about each other within the group. So, I think generally speaking, how it helps me the most, and my experience over the last couple of years, I would say it just helps me understand where we are currently, especially with current times. Helps me just stay up to date, and I can kind of plan what I want to do according to where we're at. And I don't think if I wasn't immersing myself daily, then I would kind of get lost, and I wouldn't have as much confidence and conviction in the things that I want to execute, with my own portfolios and things of that nature. So it really helps me keep me in line, honestly. So yeah, that's why I like to stay in there.
Well, I think that live call has helped a lot of the members be accountable for things that they're trying to achieve. Because we've gotten to a point where all of us, we know that there's going to be times where we wake up and we're not going to want to do what we need to do on a daily basis. And with all of the things in the world that are bearing down on us, if we still have a group effectively, at the end of the day, I know we talk about investing, we talk about trading, businesses, credit, a list of different topics. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to build is a community. And if we have a mutual interest or interests, that's incredible, and that I appreciate. But building a community where we can hold ourselves accountable and we can get close enough to where we know, hey, dude, you said you were going to do something and you just went and did the exact opposite, and we just talked about that. Can you explain why that happened? And if they can't explain it, they're in front of all of us and they realize, and I've done this myself too. And I will use me as a personal example. And I'll say to myself, okay, I just screwed up live in front of a bunch of great guys that hold me accountable for the responsibilities that I tell them that I will fulfill on a daily basis. And that communal aspect is what makes me really happy. It's what helps me get up in the morning sometimes where I'm sitting there going, all right, well, regardless of what happens with the market today, I'm out of my positions. I don't need to be in the live call. I don't need to do this. But then I would not be there. And I'd get a call from probably half the live call saying, where the hell are you? You were supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. Where are you? Thankfully, that's not something that I've done per se, and I don't want to, but I know that if I did, my phone would be ringing off the hook until I got up. Which, that makes me really happy. And I know we've done that for other members that are on the live call as well. So
Yeah,
it's a very
yeah.
important
You said
part
it. Just kind of touch on something you said real quick, and you said it well, way better than I said it. Is the accountability thing is huge. I've been in there countless times, multiple dozens of times where someone may take a trade, it may go great for them, it may not go so great for them, but you're going to prod a little bit. You're going to ask them, why you took it, what was the setup, how'd you do, what was your psychology, how'd you feel while you were in it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think those questions are so important because that's where you really learn. Ultimately, if they answer those with confidence and conviction, then they're the real deal, right? They nailed it. They're gonna do great on their next trade because these are the steps that they're taking. Now, if we fumble, we may not have an answer for all those questions, this, that, and the other thing, then we may have some work to do. But that's just honesty, and that's part of the learning curve. So that's something that we do day in, day out.
That's a great
That's
point.
huge. I mean, that can save people from, yeah, it helps.
From making pretty poor
decisions. Yeah, bad decisions. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Do you feel as though that you can ask me any questions at any time during the live call on a daily basis?
Yeah, this one kind of goes without saying. I would say so, yeah. I mean, it's just, you're right there. So, 100%. Yeah, I don't really have much to say more about that.
Understood. I appreciate that. From when you started your investment journey to present day, what has changed?
Yeah, kind of touching back on what I spoke on earlier. It's just having it's a feel, it's having a feel of where we're at, where we're going, what things may factor into this. It's having that open discussion and being aware of these things, and I can make ultimately I can make the best decision for myself with those things that we speak on and kind of brainstorm about. But yeah, I mean, there's all types of other things, like for example, Clayton's known for his covered calls, covered puts, and running the wheel, if I'm not mistaken. And so yeah, learning those things are invaluable as well. And even though those may be a little bit more elaborate, take time, you're always willing to kind of explain. I've probably had you answer the questions that I've had probably 6 times on covered calls and covered puts, but you never fail to elaborate and give me a good answer. But those things, probably not for kind of the newcomers, but as people see how well you're doing with those and get intrigued by those and see how they can set themselves up in their future with those, they want to learn them. That's just kind of the natural progression. But we're always talking about, whether you're day trading, scalping, swinging, whatever you're doing, whatever you're doing, you're going to get something from it. And you, Clayton, I mean, you've done it all, so you can always, touch on whatever it is, whatever questions we have. I know you found your groove, but I know you have all types of background.
Well, I try to make sure that I come to a place from experience, and I also try to make sure that I'm the first person to tell you when you ask me something that I don't know, but I can find someone who sure as hell does. And that's one of the things that I feel like has helped me with the guys in the call, because I'll have somebody ask me a question about day trading, and if it's something that I have direct and or a lot of time within whatever it is that they're asking me or direct experience, I'll answer the question. But if it's a question that I don't know, like somebody asked me something very specific about economic data that was coming out the other day, and it was an event that I don't pay attention to.
Hey, but you know who did? Someone else right there, right?
Right.
He answered it real concise. And we can take it for his word, because he knew what the hell he was talking about when he answered. He didn't just say it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I that's the communal aspect, right? So if I have, and I will always have shortcomings. There will be questions that people ask me that I just am so far away from that I couldn't even comprehend even the question or an answer that would be satisfactory. But 2 seconds later, I'm looking it up to make sure that I give a sound response based on what I know. And we had somebody else in the call, and you know who I'm referring to. He always talks about the economy and the data that comes out. He answered it in 2 seconds. Perfect answer. And I Google it, and I didn't say a word after because he was spot on. So it was interesting, but that's the communal aspect that I really, really appreciate. So, in regards to you as an investor, as a trader, as a man, whatever it may be, what do you need help with the most?
I mean, I haven't really thought of this too much, but in the short time thinking about it, I need confidence. I need a community that can foster confidence, that can help assure me, not in my decision making, but whether or not I took the right steps in order to make that decision. Like we spoke on earlier, accountability. And then, all of that aside, I might need someone to talk to, and maybe you guys are the only ones that I can turn to in the moment, whether it's about something personal or whether it's something purely financial and about the markets. That's what I need. That's what I'm looking for. So, I think people come into the live call for a variety of reasons. And I think each of the things that I just shared, other people are going to have in common as well. Because I'm sure there's a lot of folks in there that are doing just fine, don't need to be in there. I know we're thinking of one person right now, and I mean, there's no reason some of these folks need to be in there for the financial aspect. They're taken care of. So it's really that brotherhood and sisterhood when that day comes. That's why folks are going to stick around. But the knowledge and the education you get from a financial perspective, I mean, it's invaluable. It really is. And I have confidence to surround myself with individuals like this that myself in 10 years and 20 years are going to be far better for it.
I appreciate that. There's a question that I was about to ask that you already answered, and that was, how has your trading and understanding of the market how has it changed since you and I met? And you've pretty much, the last 15 minutes, you pretty much covered that. Now, and you also covered this a little bit, but this is something that I definitely want to ask. How have your habits changed since you and I met and since you and I started talking a year and a half back?
Well, honestly, I think I see other people's commitment and I get inspired from it. So as far as habits are concerned, I need to hold myself accountable in terms of, hey, if I'm not up in the morning, I can't map out the trades on the day, right? And I may not be the best trader, but if I'm just guessing, I'm a far worse trader, right? So I need to make sure I prepare. That's how leading up to the live call, that's what I'll be doing, whether it's learning from someone else on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever, Yahoo Finance or whatever it is. I need to be kind of consuming. Once I get in there, when we're nearing game time, I'm listening to what others have to say. I'm listening to what you have to say, market recaps, things of that nature. And from there, it gives me the confidence. It's a whole routine, and I guess that's the habit that you speak on. It's not just one thing, right? One thing's not going to make you great. It's not going to make you successful. It's a whole culmination of decisions that lead up to the ultimate decision, which is clicking a button or not clicking a button. And then there's so much more than that, right? There's the psychology of things that that's the next thing I'm going to delve into, outside of just supports, resistances, and those kind of basic things we need to learn to be successful. But then there's that other side that I think I'm dealing with now. And I touched on it. It's shaking my confidence a little bit, so I got to figure that out. But I'm confident that I will, because I got a community and I got people that are looking out for me. So there's no mystery that I'll figure it out. It'll come in due time.
And I know I can speak for myself and the majority of the people who are on that call. We're always here to help. I know that a lot of people will make that statement, and a lot of people will put that up front. A lot of the folks that you might see sell webinars and other shit like that. There are people who will produce a webinar, will produce a course that put their soul, blood, sweat, and tears into providing as much information in there as possible, and it's worth every dime. But they are far and few between. And I try to make sure that I am of the group that says what they mean and shows via the actions that I put forth that we do care. I do care. And that's not going to change regardless of what situation I'm in. And I know some of the guys make the comment Ferrari or food stamps. Doesn't matter what I'm driving or what I'm eating, I'm going to be the same guy. And the conversation that you and I had before this call, it helps me realize that I'm at least maintaining that specifically, which I couldn't be more appreciative of. And the fact that you took the time to tell me that I was doing that means the world to me. So I thank you for that very much.
Yeah, no, bracketing that conversation, elaborating on this current one, I would say, I sometimes I wake up and I'm like, like where is that drive coming from? Like why? Like is Clayton like you're always showing up, you're always in there. I'm like, when is this gonna stop? Right? Because the value that I get out of it isn't. So I'm a sucker for it. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna soak it all up for the time that it happens. Right. The day that this stops it's a bad day for me. Because I get a lot out of it. And back, previously, a year back when you're running a different live call, same deal. I mean, you're always there. You're committed day in, day out. You're grinding. And someone like me who sees that, utmost respect for it. And I mean, I don't, it's like, it's a different kind of, something you really don't get from family, truthfully, is someone showing up and giving you the best they have and doing it every day. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, someone can be spotty, someone can be inconsistent, anybody can do that, and they can have a lot of talent in those moments. But someone who shows up day in and day out and gives it their all to those who are following, I mean, that's why we want to stay in it. That's why we're here.
I appreciate that very much. So when our Discord ultimately becomes paid, do you believe that $50 a month is a fair value for the information that we offer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the number, you can name it, right? I think it's always going to be of value. It's really how do you value your time? How do you value your money? Where do you want to be in the future? That's the real question. I don't think a barrier to entry is going to stop anyone who's truly committed and who truly wants to be a part of this group of people because they see value in this group of people, right? If we're all paying it, I mean, what's it really matter? We all want to be around each other, interact with each other. We're learning a lot from each other. So, a nominal amount of money really gonna, I mean, you multiply that times 12 and it's not really, just work a couple extra hours at work, you'll be all right.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. In regards to the Discord community, what would you like to see available to you as a member? And what could we offer that we already don't?
Absolutely. I was thinking about this earlier. Someone mentioned, sidebar, vacation, this, that, and other thing. I was more interested in, maybe a sidebar that maps out everyone's rules if they feel so inclined to share. Because I was sitting there thinking, and people will chime in and say, when I follow my rules, it goes right, or I didn't follow my rules, and this is why. Well, we're not clearly defining our rules. What are your rules? I'd love to know them, because I'd love to maybe incorporate them with my rules. And, especially as someone as green, only a year here. I know there's a lot of other experienced people, and, I don't know if we're holding them quite tight to our vest because these rules are very personal and things like that. But if they're not, I think sharing them and having a spot to kind of dump them and seeing what we can learn from each other would be great. Let's be an open book about it.
I think that's incredible. I know that we were talking about it this morning. We opened up a vacations thread in the server. I think the next thread that needs to be opened, and I can lead by example on this, would be us just disclosing some of the rules. And I think it's great to go back to the accountability side of that. And if I sit there and I'm about to make a decision, I can go into you turn it into an AA meeting if you want to, but jokes. But I can sit there and I can go into that rules chat and go, all right, I will not get covered puts unless we are close to a support that I've already pre-identified. I'm about to get covered puts. Why am I doing that? Is this a special exception? Am I breaking my rules for a reason? Is it based on a bias that I have? Should I be listening to the bias? Obviously a specific example, but that's based on what I'm hearing. I think that's exactly what you're looking for, right? So
yeah, I would say so. And I think that it's, it probably won't be a daily thing. It'll probably be a thing where things evolve and maybe you update them. Someone may chime in and say, this is what I'm working on. This is what I've been working on. Here are my rules. I'm going to follow them. And however, they may be committed for a month or two working on that, and then they found something else that's going to benefit them more. They just go ahead and hey, here's the next thing I'm trying. And I think in doing that, we'll understand people's styles of trading. We'll kind of identify their personalities, how they go about things, maybe some risk management or tolerance or whatever it may be. And, hey, maybe I'll have a conversation with the person that I'm most in line with, and we can grow together. And who knows, right? But you never know till you know. So I always thought that'd be interesting. As I kind of formulate my own rules, I'm always looking for some inspiration. So it'd be pretty interesting to see.
That's a great point, and I can get that implemented by the morning. I think that's awesome. So, last question is more for me, a little bit more of a selfish question, but I ask because I truly do want to know. What can I improve on as Clayton? Either it doesn't matter in what capacity, but in order for me to better understand myself, without me being as hypercritical and self-analytical as I try to be, what can I do to improve?
Yeah, I'd be the first to sing your praises, or I'd be the first to tell you what you need to do better. I truly think that the thing that you need to keep doing is keep doing you, man. Keep it up. Keep up the good work, the hard work. It's all coming to fruition. It's coming to a head. Great things are going to happen. Great things are nearby. And by you leading and doing those great things, everyone else is going to follow. And it's going to bring us all up. So don't stop. I think everyone in that server thinks you're a superstar, respects you as a leader. If nothing else, respects your opinion and your expertise. There's nothing to be critical of. I don't. If I did, I'd say it. I have nothing to be critical of right now. So I'll be very disappointed, right? If you don't keep it up, if you don't keep doing what you're doing, don't keep showing up. I'd have something to say when that day comes.
I appreciate that. And if I do screw up, I know you'll be the first one to tell me, and I appreciate that. And I know that that's a testament of the respect that we have for each other, so thank you.
10-4, it is.
All right, Greg. Thank you so much for the time you spent with me this evening. Thank you for the time that you spent to answer each question. You and I are both working very hard, and we value our time greatly because, we have families, we have friends, we have responsibilities, and the time that you spent with me this evening, I'm very appreciative of, so thank you.
Pleasure is all mine, and look forward to more of this going forward.
Absolutely.